All right, so it's starting to record. So if you have any questions, just chime in on the right-hand side. There should be a little bar that you could make some questions. I did make it available so that you can unmute yourself if you have to. But let's start with this slideshow. Let's see here. Hold on. Get this going. Let me share the screen. There we go. So this is a overview about the Lightning Warriors. All right, cool. So let me go back to the previous screen. So I started this team a couple years back, and to help my son get more competition for triathlon. So one day we were at a race. He asked me to have more competition, and there was nothing around. There's no youth triathlon teams on Long Island that are available for young boys and girls to work out together. So I went about to grow the sport of triathlon on Long Island, and this is kind of what we came up with. It's the Lightning Warriors Youth Triathlon Team. So just to let you know that we're a 501c3 organization, not-for-profit, recognized by the USA Triathlon and IRS, of course. The biggest goal that I have for the team is to make it available to all kids on Long Island, regardless of their income and everything. But it's more important that I felt that it was great to have that. Ooh, that was going fast. Not sure why it's going so fast. So we're recognized as a gold club from USA Triathlon, and that gives us a lot of benefits in terms of insurance and coverage and coverage of the team. So any of the practice that we have is covered by insurance, and we have liability insurance as well. As part of the Gold Club, we also have free USAT youth memberships, virtual youth memberships that are available to you. So we have 50 from the Lightning Warriors, and we also have a donation from the Wildwood Warriors, which is an adult triathlon team on Long Island. So we have 100 youth memberships that we can give to our members. So if you haven't signed up yet or plan on renewing, just let me know. I'll get you a link in terms of getting a membership. And all the kids need to have a membership to be covered under the insurance. And you also need it for usually most of the events that we attend to require that we have that USAT membership. So the team is all volunteer based. So we have very dedicated, experienced volunteers. Usually they're all mostly athletes, very good family members and friends that are really involved with the sport of triathlon, helping the kids out as much as they can. Right here in this picture happens to be Jessica Evanstein, who's the race director for the Mini Maniac Youth Triathlon that we had last year. Next to her is Corey Roberts, who basically donated all of the racks that you see here for the race and a lot of other race type event holding stuff. So it was really good to have him support our team. And then we have everybody here is really helping supporting the team. So we have board members. Board members are Jessica Evanstein. We got John Graziano, Tom Stridiron, Jeff Reynolds, and Mark Safran. All of them have very good experiences in triathlon, and they come with a knowledge of other things, and especially for the business world. So one of the things I like to see is get the kids involved with some of the industry background, some business possibly, and go from there, because it's what I find in triathlon is a lot of networking that can be involved, and it's good for the kids to have that experience too. So it's kind of something that I felt important. The biggest thing I feel that's important for the safety of the kids is Safe Sport. So Safe Sport is a program to help coaches, parents recognize and protect our kids from unsavory things, in terms of harassment, things like that. And if you want more information on that, I'm going to include this in the notes. There's access for the kids to have some training, as well as the parents. If you want to go through, there's a safe sport certification that you could also take that is available to all parents that wish to take it. You can be aware of what's going on in terms of making sure that your kids are safe and everyone else's kids are safe. The biggest thing I would say about safe sport is making sure that there's multiple, not one adult is isolated with one child. Just make sure that there's a group of people always around to be safe. Something really quick and short. So about me. So I started my journey about 2013 after waking up from a seizure, and I felt that I wanted to do Ironman. So I did Ironman in 2014. My wife, Irene, has done Ironman in 2016. All these kids here have done triathlons, especially this one in the middle. And I'll give you a little story later on about him, but he's the one who really started getting this team going. So I'm also an Road Runners Club of America certified coach, level 1. I'm also a certified coach, level 1 for USA Triathlon, as well as a youth and junior elite certified coach, which helps me bring the different aspects for the elite racing for triathlon, is if the kids choose to do that route. But in general, I think most of the kids we're focused on making sure the kids have fun, be competitive, but doesn't have to be so competitive where that they get burnt out. So there's a couple of choices that if you want to have your kids take a certain route in the sport, we can have that conversation at that time. But in general, I want that kids to have fun. Most important, have a safe time. And I happen to be an owner of a medical supply company called CWI Medical, or Connecticut West. Been doing that for about 30 years now. So getting to the point where, what is triathlon? So triathlon is mixed up with a sports of swim, bike, and run. And that's what basically triathlon is. It's simple. It's skills that we all should know. Swimming, riding a bike, and running are commonplace for all kids that they should be able to do. So it's something that I think we try to make sure we manage that with kids who are maybe locked on with using their thumbs on iPads and tablets and their phones, and want to get them out a little bit more into nature and socializing with other people. So that's kind of what triathlon's all about. I think the community that is set up to be very warming and inviting and helpful. So you'll see that, especially as you know, that all the volunteers, my friends who are getting involved, they really, really love to help out everyone and the kids. So the sport of triathlon is not so complicated. All you really need is, I want you to make sure you have a smile, have fun, basically do your best, and take responsibility of what you have to do in the sport. It's not too complicated, but just like in regular life, you want to make sure you're enjoying what you're doing. So I don't want to have any kids being dragged to the practices, but I do want them to take responsibility that if there is practice that they want to go to, just make sure that they make arrangements to get there. And if they need any help, just let us know. So in terms of what you need to wear, so right here, I think this is Stella. So she's wearing a triathlon kit. So one of the things that I've done so far, and for this year, I'm going to be able to provide kits to all the children if they want to join. That should be coming. I'm working on the design right now. So, and with the coronavirus, it's delaying a few things with China, but in general, this piece of uniform you can use on the swim, then wear it on the bike, and then you run with it. You can also wear a regular bathing suit, and that's all you need in terms of clothing. Obviously, you want to make sure you have a safe bike that you want to wear, ride in. And if there's a issue where you need to have a bike, let's have a conversation about that. One of the goals I do have is to provide all the equipment, facilities, and coaching for all the kids at no charge. So if you don't have a bike, we'll figure it out. But make sure whatever bike you have has a proper fit, not too small, not too big, and it's in safe conditions, unlike this one. Make sure you have good running shoes. And very important, one of the rules I will establish is to have your helmet on anytime you touch the bike. Coming from the car, bringing your bike to the bike rack, things like that. Just make sure that you're always touching the you have your helmet on you, snapped, and then you can bring your bike to where you have to bring it. So it's a good habit to do. It's one of the USA Triathlon rules, because you can get disqualified if you don't have your helmet on if you're touching your bike. It's just a good habit to be in anyway. Now, for swimming, you really just need a pair of goggles. You don't need a swimming apparatus. You're not allowed to wear fins typically during a race. Breathing apparatuses, scuba, you won't be able to wear. But you might have if the water is a little cold, we do have some wetsuits that hopefully we can get some smaller wetsuits. We got a lot of donations for larger wetsuits, but we'll work on some of the smaller wetsuits. But usually in terms of the water temperatures, we probably won't go do open water until much later in the season. I want to say mid-June, depending on how warm it gets during the springtime. Maybe we might be able to get in sooner. Some of the close bodies of water, like a lake over in Riverhead, might be available. That might be a little bit warmer. But in general, we'll start from, when we start in the springtime, we'll be in the pool. I'm making sure that we negotiate some pool time during the spring and early summer, just to get some used to the water. Excuse me. So there's a couple of things in terms of the types of kids that are in the team. So I'm going to start with the Sparks. So those are the youngest ones that we work with. And we may make sure that they're comfortable with swimming 50 yards nonstop, biking 2 miles nonstop, and running at least a half a mile nonstop. As we get older, we want to make sure that the kids are able to be comfortable with swimming 400 meters nonstop, 4 miles biking nonstop, and running 2 miles nonstop. Typical races in that age group, about 14, 15 and above, they'll start being able to do sprint triathlons, which consists of about 500-meter swim, 12-mile bike, and 5K. Now, for the really competitive kids, and this could range from 13 to 19 typically, it's considered a draft legal racing, and then I could go a little bit more than that at another time, but it's really highly competitive. They race across the country. There's 4 regional races and 1 national race. And also, in terms of the Sparks Development and Thunder competitive team, they can also travel as well to do the races. But most of the races that we plan on doing for this year is probably more local on Long Island, and possibly one up in Westchester. So these are age groups, so kind of breaking them down. So we have the youngest ones at 7 to 13, just breaking it down, focusing on fun and safety, learning, mostly team practices, getting together with other kids. The next step would be competitive. It could be a high school competitions. A lot of the local races have a high school division. Building on some of the stuff they learned in the past, doing a little bit faster, getting a little bit stronger in terms of the skills needed to be competitive. And depending on where they're at, and this is something me and the parents and I can talk about, would be an individualized training plan for that child. This is one of the things that I think triathlon is where certain kids can benefit from specific training. And it depends on, what you want from the sport. So there's a couple of, families that might be a little bit more, want to have more competition, racing and maybe more regional and national championships. And then in terms of the elite, that's where they really this is more a route where kids want to go to, or thinking about going to the Olympics, racing internationally. And there's a big development in terms of setting kids towards the direction.
Hey, Chase.
A little something about the competitive also, in between competitive and storm.
Now?
No, not now, but I would like to soon.
Okay.
So in terms of the competitive storm, on the female side of things, is NCAA is recognizing as an emerging sport in triathlon. So this is available for the young girls who are looking for something competitive and be in a highly competitive, in a school, getting some education, and also compete in a triathlon. So it's something special that we've done. In the past, in November, we did a triathlon combine for girls 12 to, I think the oldest one was 18. And that was to record some times for coaches to review and take a look at and identify some future talent for their programs. Currently, there's about 32 schools that are enrolled in the NCAA varsity program. And basically at 40, it becomes an NCAA sport. So they're pretty close in terms. I'm pretty sure this year or next year, they will have enough schools and then start competing at a national level for varsity. And there's going to be a lot more opportunities for females to get into the sport. On the guys' side, there are many club sports for the girls and guys that they could also have that competition in terms of college, but not as competitive as the NCAA varsity sports. So we practice locally at the moment. I am looking to grow the team to outside of the Three Village area, but most of the kids that we have now, we're focused on having like West Meadow Beach is a great venue, and we had our race there. The Stony Brook School has been open to us. We've been doing our pool swims there on occasion, and use their facilities. The headmaster happens to be a very good triathlete, so he's open to building that in his school. We also have some warehousing space. So my warehouse acts doubles as on the weekends as a place where you could spin inside. We also have, and sometimes, especially when it warms up, we could go to Heckscher Park to practice as well. This coming Saturday, if anybody's available, they TriFit over in Setauket, their physical therapist office, is allowing us to also take our bikes there and practice a little biking with the bike trainers and do some workouts there as well. So if that's something I'll put that also out in the email if you're interested. We could set that up. I know a couple kids always want to come, but I always come to the warehouse. But however, it's a little, maybe a little out of the way. It's in Edgewood near Deer Park. Celeste Rice has offered to let us use her space. So I'm really grateful for that donation. So a little timing of the schedules. Typically, we're going to be, once it starts warming up on a regular basis, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6 to 7, we can have practices. We'll start that probably around the third week of March. It's fair, it should be warm enough then to be outside. For the older kids, we're going to include Sundays, 7:30 to 8:30. And then usually the season runs from the first race that we have is April 26th, which is a mini Mighty Man pool triathlon out in Eisenhower Park. So it's depending on the age they are, It's anywhere from for the younger ones, it's a 100-meter swim, 2-mile bike, and a quarter-mile run. And for the older kids, let's say 13, 14 plus, 400-meter swim, 6-mile bike, and 2-mile run. So the end of the season usually falls around after Mini Maniac Youth Triathlon, and the week after would be the Westchester Youth Triathlon. That's pretty much when the season will end. There's one more race further out. If the high schoolers want to take advantage of it, it's a Montauk Sprint Triathlon, or I should say the Montauk Weekend, Mighty Man Montauk Weekend. That's in pretty much the last race, unless we go out of town and further south. But I don't predict we'll be doing that for this year. But when the season winds down, we're going to be, we can meet once or twice a week, and do some stuff indoors. Also included, we are going to do more workshops in terms of mental health, strength and conditioning, and bike maintenance. And by the way, our bike sponsor is Carl Hart. So let me go visit. I'm going to switch over. So I'm going to show over some events. So obviously I want everyone who is of age either to volunteer or definitely do the Mini Maniac Youth Triathlon. But let me switch screens. I'm going to switch to show you the schedule. So coming up is really high school nationals, but the ones that I want you to focus on is possibly, if they're not comfortable with the swim, I want to make sure we can do some duathlons. We got some duathlons coming up. The Cedar Creek, Mother's Day. I think everyone can do the Mini Mighty Man Pool Triathlon. For the older kids, the Mighty North Fork. This one is an interesting one for only the girls. This one is a all-women's triathlon, pool triathlon, over in Nassau County. I would say the next one would make sense for the kids, might be the Hamptons Youth Tri. The older kids could do the Tri One On, Town of Huntington Sprint, Jamesport Triathlon, Lighthouse. Now, there's a couple things I would love to do, would be to attend USA Triathlon Youth and Junior Nationals, which is held in Ohio. This is a great experience for all the kids to be part of. And that's something we could always talk about. But it also happens to fall on this weekend with Smith's Point. Smith's Point happens to be a great venue for a flat race. And one of the things that we're doing with Event Power, who is a director for the race, is having a youth race here. So that's one of the things that we're working on. But I think if we can get to go to nationals, it'll be a great experience for all kids. The next kids race, is Tobay Youth Junior Triathlon, and they do have an adult high school division. And then, of course, the biggest one that we want to really support, and that is our race, the Mini Maniac Youth Triathlon. Like I said before, the last race of the season can be this one, Mighty Man Montauk Sprint, and then we can finish off if we want to with a duathlon. So also sprinkled in, we could also do a bunch of 5Ks, but these are more related to multi-sport, which is why I included it here. So this is all on the website, by the way. You can always visit that and take a look. And then we can also have a conversation. Just let me know what race you are doing. So the majority of these races here, we can get, I have enough race credits to do the race, for you to sign up for free. The reason why we get those free entries is by volunteering. So anytime we do a race, what I suggest is if you would like, and I ask you to do it also, is during some of these races that your child is in, also volunteer, take some time to volunteer. And it's not too complicated in terms of, it's usually, handing out water or helping out in the finish line or helping out in the transition area. But it also provides race credits that we can use to get free entries to the races. So I want to make sure that this is what we do is as low as possible. At the same time, make it available to all kids. So just please consider volunteering at some of these races. So the two race directors that we would get credit for would be Race Awesome, which does some of these duathlons and some triathlons. And then the other half would be Race Awesome and then Event Power. The two race event companies that allows us to get credits for the races that we want to do. So something that a lot of areas in the country don't do. We're pretty fortunate that we get to be able to volunteer and get race credits. Okay, so one way to get involved, and I hope everyone gets to do this, is to do relay races. So this is me, Zachary, and Elijah. This is a while back over at, this is Try by the Bay in East Islip. I biked, Zachary swam, and Elijah ran that day. Over here is Smith's Point, where Emily, this is my oldest daughter, she swam, Zachary biked, and Elijah ran. And obviously Zachary is, hanging out with his friends. He swam, he biked, and Andrew ran. So this is something that I think everybody could do with their kids if possible, and have fun with as a team together, as a family. So it's one of those things that you could do as a family event. Hopefully we all could do that. So just a reminder, just want to lower the barriers, just making sure that if you do want to get a youth triathlon membership, let me know. This is the form that you can fill out. It's a little manual right now, so you would use this form, send it to, it'll go automatically to USA Triathlon. They do their thing, and it's supposed to send it back. I know that they've been getting an influx of requests, so I know they're a little behind at the moment, but we can also follow up with that membership at usatriathlon.org. One of the things I started working with as a gold club member is to use the Sports Engine, which is a platform that we can register with the kids. It's going to keep the roster of the kids, and it's also used as a fundraising tool as well. So just keep that in mind. So one of the ways that we've been able to do a lot of things that we do is with the generosity of the sponsors that we have. A lot of friends and family, a lot of vendors that I work with have supported us. So, anytime you see them, definitely thank them. Thank the board members for their support and volunteers. Anytime you see a volunteer, please thank them, because it's really important. We couldn't really do a lot of this stuff without them. And obviously you want to if the kids are on, thank your parents for bringing you practice and taking care of all the other stuff. So I'm going to unmute the phones. Let me see here. And if anybody has questions, I'd be more than willing to answer them. Show up on the day I said, decide. Look what I would have missed. 7 code violations. Anybody have any questions? You heard the commander. Who authorized putting this stuff up anyway? Somebody? Tell that man to pack his bags and go. Okay. Eric? Steve?
No.
Andy?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
Can you share with us what a practice might look like?
I'm sorry, you say again?
Can you share what a practice might look like?
Yeah,
Like what it looks like?
So right now, probably during the springtime, if we're outdoors, we'd probably do some basic running, some basic biking, bike handling skills. It might involve going around cones a lot, just to make sure that they're comfortable with the bikes. the fun thing that we always do is transition. I'm not sure if it's warm enough to do that yet because of we always have them get out of their shoes and run around. But usually I would say during the springtime, it would be more strength, a little bit more core training, getting on the bike, being comfortable with other kids on the bikes, and being comfortable with getting off the bike and running right away. So for the younger kids, we'll break it down a little bit more. For the older kids that are more experienced, they know what to do a little bit. And for the older kids, it'll probably be more intense, more faster, quicker, things that will help them develop as an athlete. I'm always a big proponent of making sure that they stay within themselves, not too hard, but not too easy at the same time. But in general, that's how those dry practices are. When we have an opportunity to do some swimming, we'll mix in maybe a swim and a run, or a swim and a bike, depending on the timing of the day and how warm it is usually. But that's typically how the practice will go. Nothing too complicated, making sure that they have the basic skills of what to do, and especially, I think the biggest one would be maybe speeding up transition and getting practices on that. So I hope that answers your question.
It did. Thank you.
Yeah, just and making sure that they're having fun. I'll usually toss in something unexpected for them to. A lot of the stuff that I'll do is we'll put in something that doesn't seem like it's like running or biking, but it will help them develop skills when they need it. So it's building up those skills that are ancillary in terms of like side-to-side motions. And, triathlon is a very straight front moving forward sport. And we do need to build up those side muscles to stabilize a lot of things. So I'm very conscious of helping to develop those parts of the bodies where we don't think about it. And I know that we have a few runners on the call, and we all know that we only go in one direction, and we tend to forget to do some side-to-side stuff. So, anyone else have any questions?
Hey, no, it's Anders.
Hey.
Have a question. Hey, I just have a question about the indoor biking.
Yeah.
I see we need a trainer, but I'm not familiar with those.
Yeah,
Do you have a recommendation on what to get?
Yeah, good. I have a bunch of trainers.
Oh, all right. So we just show up.
I wouldn't worry unless we have like 20 kids showing up. I have a bunch of trainers that are available to most of the kids, and if we need more, I have my friend, the Wildwood Warriors, is more than willing to lend us bike trainers, and I've done it so in the past. So in terms of the biggest thing about the bike trainers right now is, I would say, having the right size bike to fit the trainer. What the trainer does is it engages the rear wheel and provides some friction. So as you pedal, it feels like it's on the road. And depending on the size of the bike, so usually about a 26-inch tire would fit on a bike trainer. And anything larger than that is better. Anything small, that it gets really hard to provide any traction to the bikes. So for my smaller kids, I see that there's a few 8-year, 10 and under. We might have to do something a little different for them, but we'll figure that out.
All right, sounds good. Thanks.
Yeah. So for your daughter, it should be. I think she should be fine. Anyone else? I hope I answered most of the questions. I hope that this is something that everyone would like to do. I'm really excited about the prospects of having more kids on the team and helping them out and reaching more kids as we grow. So we are the only youth triathlon team at the moment, and I'm hoping to have other teams available. that are similar of what we're doing. We're the only ones I would say that is really, I'm dedicated to the kids, making sure that they have what they need to get in order to do the sport. And that's kind of how I started the team. I started team a lot for Zachary to have more of his friends and get more competition because he's very competitive. But as I got into the sport and seeing how other teams are run, I really wanted to make sure that this sport was something that all kids could do. All kids could do and have access to. There's a lot of kids that probably can do it. However, they don't have access to a lot of different things, especially bike maybe access to a pool, even transportation. So like, for example, our friends over in I Try Girls, who focuses on primarily middle school girls in certain schools out on the South Fork of the East End, they do the same thing. They provide everything for the kids, but it's limited to the girls in middle school. So I wanted to make sure that if the next Olympian, triathlon Olympian comes from Long Island, I would love to be part of that. I think that's possible. We have a lot of resources here on Long Island. And that's one thing I'm looking forward to. I'm also looking forward to working with different schools to identify some kids that might never have access to any sports. So that's another thing I'm working on. And even here on Through Village, I know there's some kids that probably could use the sport of triathlon. And it's life skills that they learn in terms of building confidence, building a network, socializing, all the good stuff that comes with this, doing sports in general. And I appreciate you taking the time to listen to me. If anybody has any questions, you can shoot me an email or text me, or let me see here. Oops. There we go. So you always reach me at Lightning Warriors Tri-Team at gmail.com, or my phone number is 631-921-0043. Anyone have any more questions?
Hey, Noah, it's Lindsay.
Hey, Lindsay.
I just have a quick question about the getting the credit for volunteering with the races. Hannah and Benjamin and Benjamin are doing the Mini Mighty Man, and I just want to make sure when we sign up to volunteer that that the Mini Maniacs will get credit for it.
Yeah, so the event power, when you do it with them, it's sort of manual. You have to email them to let them know. And I could share that, that email information with them. I think they might have a new system now for this year, but I know in the past they've always done it manually. With Race Awesome, same thing. You can volunteer on their registrations website. When they same thing with the Mini Maniac race, you could volunteer, but in them, Corey, who happens to be the owner of Race Awesome, keeps track of it that way. And he's familiar with what's going on and combining points. So, just CC me anytime you email those two, and we'll take it from there. And just a reminder, if anybody's signing up for any more races, just please let me know. That way I get you the free entries to the races. I just want to make sure it's easier for everybody and families too, because I know it could be hard on different different families to get in the sports. I want to make sure that we reduce that challenge if it is, but more than happy to get race credits for everyone. And plus, a lot of times our friends who are volunteering also donate their race credits to us as well. So we're pretty lucky that way. Hope that answers that question, Lindsay.
Perfect, thank you.
All right, cool. Anyone else? Oh, it's 8:41. I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you, everyone.
Yep. Thanks, Noah.
Thanks, Noah.
Thanks, Noah.
Thank you, Noah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Noah.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you.